Welcome to the part 2 of Paystack Transfer API, and I'm sorry that I kind of upload this really late. And what happened is that I really forgot that I did not really finish the video in the first part. So thank you those of you that really connected with me on my email telling me that I did not really finish the video. I really thought I finished it in the first part. So without wasting much time, this is where we left off the other time. We need to create this page that is called a create_recipient.php. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that right now. But before we go ahead and create that page, I want to take you to the documentation page. So what we've achieved so far is that we verified the account number. And the next thing that we need to do right now is to go ahead and create a transfer, after which we can now talk about initiating the transfer. So the first thing that I'm going to do right now is to create a transfer. Maybe later we can talk about initiating the transfer. So without wasting much time, if we click on this create a transfer right now, transfer recipient, it's going to scroll to the section, and this is really the section. Okay, so this section is really going to need quite a few things. And the first thing I want to show you is the endpoint is going to change to this. So this is the endpoint that is required to create a transfer recipient. And of course, we're going to need the secret key. We're going to have to also set the type to newborn, and we're going to need a name and account number and bank code. Finally, we're going to need a currency. You understand that? So for those that are using Naira, it's going to be set to NGN. And we have this already in place from the previous section. So we're going to just kind of put these from the previous section in session. Then we'll now go ahead and then transfer them to the page that we want to work on right now. And you don't need to worry yourself about this. I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go to our development environment right now. And let's go ahead and create that page that we need. So I'm going to click here and then paste that page name that I copied. So let's go ahead and open that up. And this is really the page right now. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do right now is that we're going to go ahead and copy what is in this page. Before we really copy that, we need to do something. You know that we're going to carry the information that is in this page to the next page, talking about the account number and then this account name, even the bank code, which is right up there. Talking about this bank code, we're going to need it in the next page. So what we need to do right now is to go ahead and put these in session so that it can help us grab onto them on the next page. So let's do that right now. So let me put a comment here and say we're going to just say start session. And to start a session, we'll do that in PHP with a function called session_start, just like that. And to create a session, we're going to use this the session super global variable. So I'm going to put $sign right here, and in capital letter I'm going to just say session, like that. Then in square bracket, we're going to go ahead and pass on the name that we want to use. The first one that I want to create right now is going to be called the bank code. So I'm going to call this bank_code, and I want to go ahead and then set that to be equal to a variable that I'm going to just call let's go ahead and call that bank code, like that. And on the next line, in fact, let me copy this. I want to copy this right now and paste it right here, and I'm going to have to paste it again, so just 2 more times. And the second one is going to be the bank name. So this is going to be bank_name, account name rather. So let's call that account name, and we'll go ahead and then put that right here. So this is going to be account name, and the last one is going to be, let's go ahead and call that should be account number. So this is account_number, and we're going to create the variable to be called account number, just like that. So with these few lines of code, what this means is that we've really started a session, and I think that we should have this above it. Let's cut this and put it just above this place, since we are putting them in variable right here. So this should be above the session that we just created. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this page right now. And if we go back to the page that we want to work on right now, and I'm going to copy this page. I'm going to copy the verify_identity page. Go ahead and copy that. And if we go back to the create recipient page, I'm going to paste that right here. And once I get that pasted, we're going to delete a couple of things right here. So alright, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this if statement, and I'm also going to delete everything that is here, and I'm going to go ahead and start a session from here. So this is going to be let's just say start session, and yeah, so that's what I'm going to, of course this if statement needs a closing curly brace here, so I'm going to go ahead and put the closing curly braces right there. And before I go ahead and then type out the or grab onto the session, you need to understand that this really has a name from the other page that is coming in right now. The name that we gave to this was not really called identify. In fact, if we go to verify underscore identity right now, and we'll take a look at the form that we have right here. You see that on this continue or this move button, where is that move button? Yeah, this one, this move button, what we have as a name here is called recipient. So we need to pick this name, and if we go back to this page right now, we need to paste that right here. Okay, and yeah, so that's the name that we need on this page. So what I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and then grab onto those sessions that where they kind of bringing from this page. And to do that is really very simple. The first thing that you need to do is to start a session. I'm going to just say session underscore start, just like that, and we'll move on to, so let's first of all grab the bank code. So I'm going to just say bank code, and to grab onto that, I'm going to just go ahead and set that to session. So this is going to be session, and in square bracket, what we really gave it as a name was called a bank underscore code from the previous page. In fact, let me show you that right now. I'm talking about these sessions that we have here. So you have to remember these names that you use right here. Okay, so that is that. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Let's terminate that line before we copy that. So terminate that line, and let's go ahead and copy it, paste it 2 more times right there. So the next one that we need right now is going to be called the bank name. So we're going to go ahead and type bank name right here, account name rather. So this is going to be account right there, and then within this session it was called account underscore name, and for the last one, this is going to be called this was called what? I think that we called that account number. So this is going to be account number like that, and we should remember the index name, which was called account underscore number, just like that. So we've really grabbed onto the session that we started before now, and if these things are not really present on this page, what do we want it to do? So for us to do something, we need to put an else part right here. So I'm going to just say else, and what do we want to do on the else part? So I'm going to just go ahead and give a simple header redirect right there. So I'm going to redirect to a page that that is just the index page. So I'm going to just say index, sorry about that, I'm going to just say location first, colon, and I'm going to just say index.php, and we can go ahead and then maybe exit the script right here. Okay, all right, so we have that this part put in place. I think that the next thing that we need to do right now is to go ahead and change this endpoint that we have right here. So let's go back to our documentation, and we should go ahead and get the endpoints URL. All right, so let's get the endpoints URL. I'm going to go ahead and copy the endpoints URL, which is this. So let's get that copied, and if we go back to the script that we're working on right now, let's go ahead and replace that right here. So this is the endpoint, and remember that this should be in quotes because it's a string right now. All right, so we have that in place. All right, so I think that the next thing that we need to do now is to go ahead and then kind of build the data that we need to, those data. Let me show you that data again. Talking about these things that are here right now, we need to build them the normal way that we're supposed to build them. So to build it, let's go back to the development environment, and let's scroll up maybe at the top of this place. If we build that here, that won't be bad at all. So let's go ahead and do it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and call this so let me put a comment here and say gather the recipient's details. And to do that, I'm going to just go ahead and put that in an array. So I'm going to just say recipient underscore data, and I'm going to put that in an array just like that. Let me go ahead and terminate this line immediately. And within this array, the first thing that we need now is to go ahead and then set the no-bound type. So I'm going to just say in double quotation right here, or single quotation, anyone you like, you just put type, and we should go ahead and so we're going to just put that in an arrow like this, and I'm going to just say new bound. And for the next one, we're going to put a comma here. We separate arrays with comma. So the next thing that we need right now is the name. So this is going to be name, and we'll go ahead and set that to be equal to maybe the name of the transfer that we want to do. So if you do something like transfer fund, that would be bad at all. So we can just say something like transfer fund. So let's go ahead and then separate that line with a comma again. And the next one that we need right now, we can go ahead and put something like a description of this application right here. So let's go ahead and say something like description, and that can be set to be equal to, let's say we'll call this let us say staff salary list, like that. And the next one that we need right now is to go ahead and set maybe the account number. So we can go ahead and set the account number right here, account underscore number, and we can go ahead and then let that be set to the variable that contains the account number. So that's what we're going to do just right now. So that's just what we're going to do. So I'm going to just say account number right there, and we're going to introduce comma, and the next one is going to be the account name. So this is going to be account underscore name, and we'll go ahead and then set that to the variable that contains the account name right there. So this is going to be $ account name, just like that. And then the next one is going to be the bank code. So this is going to be, I want to just say bank underscore code, and we'll go ahead and set that to be equal to, of course, the variable that also contains the bank code. So this is going to be called bank code. And the next one is going to be, or the last one is going to be the currency. So I'm going to just say currency, and we set that to be equal to NGN. For Naira, you can put your own currency if you are from any other country apart from Nigeria. Okay, so that is just that. But then to proceed right now, what we need to do to this array that we have built right now is a kind of a generated a URL encoded a query string to a kind of associate just to create an associative array or an index array right here from the above thing that we have right here. And to do that is really very simple. So what I'm going to do now is to create a variable that I'm going to just call let's just call this include recipient. Let's call that recipient underscore data, and we can go ahead and then we're going to use a function called the http underscore build underscore query, and we'll go ahead and pass in this particular variable that we have here, which we call the recipient data. So I'm going to copy this and pass that onto that particular function that we have right there. Okay, so with this we've really built the recipient data that we want with this line, these 4 lines of code. So the next thing that we need to do now is within our core, which is what we have right here, we're going to kind of configure this script in such a way that it should be able to accept some of those posted data. Okay, and to do that is really very simple. We're going to just add a couple of lines right here, and the first one that I want to add right now is going to be to help us enable the data to be sent as post method. And to do that, we can go ahead and put it so we can go ahead and put it right here. So this is going to, we're just going to say send data in post method. And to do that, so we're going to go ahead and just say collect underscore post, and we'll go ahead and then set that to be equal to true. So that's going to be set to true right now. We'll terminate that line, and then on the next one, so let's go ahead and collect the post field right here. Those fields that we have just set to be sent as post method, we need to collect it right here. So let's just put a comment here and say collect the post fields. And to do that is really very simple. So we're going to just say corrupt underscore post field. So this is going to be curl post fields, and we're going to go ahead and set that to the post field variable that we have up here. So I'm going to copy this post fields variable right now, and then I'll go ahead and put it right here, and we'll go ahead and terminate the line. So that is that. And if we scroll up right now or scroll down, we're going to have to take away some certain things that we copied from the previous page that we don't really need on this page, and that's just coming from this part. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take from this place. This is still part of what you copied from the previous page to this page. So we're going to go ahead and take these away. I want to take that away, and this is what we have on the page right now. So we're going to go ahead and change this. So from this place where you say converts to object, so instead of using identity here, what I want to use right there is recipient. So we're going to just say recipient like that. All right, so to print out something on the screen right now, let's go ahead and then use PRE, that's pre tag, to print out something on the screen for us right now. So I'm going to just say echo, and I'm going to concatenate onto PRE tag right there. So this is going to be PRE, and close the concatenation right here, the quotation. Then we'll concatenate onto the variable called response, and with concatenation again, we're going to have to close the tag. That's the PRE tag right here, and we can go ahead and terminate this line. And I want to take away this HTML right now. I'm going to paste this later, but I just want to take that away, and let me see what the page is going to give me first, because we have some variables that are here which we really do not have on this page. So it's going to give me an error if I don't delete this. So I'll cut that off, save the page, and let's go ahead and give it a shot from our browser. Alright, so let's test the application right now. So if we click choose a bank account right now, put the bank code and click on verify account. Okay, so we've passed the verification part, which is what we did before now, and let's just go ahead and click on continue, and that is going to take us to the create, which is the page we're working on right now. And if you look at it, we have an error, and the error says it's a pass syntax error, and we have unexpected token. We have a terminating character here instead of using what is it called, a closing bracket. So this is on line 39. So let's take a look at line 39 from our code. And if you look at line 39, so let's scroll up to see that line. So this is line 39, and if you take a look at that, so we do have a serious mistake here. So we are not supposed to. This is an array, so we are putting everything here in an array. So we're not supposed to be using this terminating character right here. What we need to put here is a comma. So we'll put a comma here, and I think we also did that right here. So we're going to put a comma here also. So if we go ahead and save this page right now, and we'll go back to our browser to try again. So let's refresh this page again. Click on continue, and congratulations, we have our status to be set to true right here, and we have quite some other things that we need. So the message says transfer recipient created successfully, and yeah, so we've really created a transfer recipient. And let's look for the code, and the recipient code, where is it right here. So this is what we're going to need. Sorry about that. We're going to need this particular recipient code right now. So that's what we're going to use to initiate the transfer. That's the most important thing that we have right here. Okay, but you should also understand that we have every other thing also fetched from that particular details. So we have the account number, the account name, the bank account, that's the bank code, and even the bank name. And if you want to fetch these things and display them on this page, we can. Okay, but just know with that right now we have the most important thing, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in section right now so that we can make use of it on the next page. So to put that in section, let's go back to our development environment, and alright, so let's grab onto the recipient code right now, and let's do it down here. So I'm going to just go ahead and say I'm going to create a variable that we'll call recipient underscore code, and we're going to go ahead and get that since it's within the data array, which is let me show you that right here. So this everything that we have here is under this array called data. So we need to mention data first before you can grab onto any other field that you want right there. So I'm going to just say set this to be equal to, and of course that's going to be I'm going to just say I'm going to make use of this variable right here, which is called a recipient. So this is going to be variable recipient, because everything is inside of that place. Recipient, and with an arrow, because we've really converted that to an object. So this is going to be I'm going to go ahead and put data right here, and once you grab onto data, the next thing for you to grab onto right now is going to be that of the recipient code that we have right there. So I'm going to just say recipient, sorry, with an arrow again. I'm going to go ahead and grab onto recipient code like that, and this particular recipient code that I have right here is really coming from the page that I just showed you. So I'm talking about this one. Where is it? So this is recipient code, okay, and I hope it's the same thing right there, the recipient code. Yeah, so that is the thing. So what I'm going to do now is that we have the recipient now in this variable. So what we're going to do next is to go ahead and put that in the session, and to do that, and I'm going to just say session, and I don't have to start session again because I already had it started in this page. So this is going to be session, and I'm going to go ahead and then put the index name. So I'm going to paste the same thing that I have right there, which is recipient code, and I'm going to go ahead and then save it in a new variable. It can be the same variable that we have up here. So if we go ahead and then this is going to be equal to variable recipient code, just like that. Okay, so we have that in place right now, and we can now make use of this in the next page if we want to kind of initiate a transfer. So we can pass that from this page to the next page, and you can put that in the URL if you want. But I think that the more secured way to do this is to go ahead and put it in a session. Okay, all right. So without wasting much time, I think that we can go ahead and then save this page right now. All right, so let's say that you want to print out these things, this data that we have here, some of these things like the account number, the account name, and even the bank code, or even the bank name itself. We can really do that. So what we're going to do right now, let me bring back that HTML part of the page that I deleted. I'm going to copy from this page right now. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this HTML page right now. All right, so if you have that copied, and then on the next page, let's go ahead and paste that right here. And what I need to do now is to go ahead and modify this page. So the title, let's go ahead and change the title right now. So this is going to be called Fund Recipient in Paystack. Just like that. And the next thing that we need to do right now is to go ahead and put let's change this H1 right here from what it is right now to, let's say, recipient created. So we can go ahead and say recipient created, and we can give some information where, like, say something like click the transfer button below to start the transfer. So I'm going to just say click on the transfer button below to start the transfer. So that is just the H1 part of it. Then within this place, this container right now, we can go ahead and then begin to fetch in some other data that we need. For instance, we can bring in the message. So I'm going to use this H3 right now, and instead of this response right here, so I'm going to use PHP. And of course this one is okay as it is. So this is going to bring in the message, and then on the next one, what we need to fetch now is to go ahead and fetch the name, and to fetch not really the name but the purpose. So let me go ahead and copy this line, paste it right here, and then instead of this response, let me go ahead and say something like purpose. And to get the purpose, it's not going to just be that is not embedded on the message itself, rather it is embedded on the data, then the name. So I'm going to just go ahead and say, so this is going to be recipient with an arrow. We're going to have, first of all, grab onto the data, and from the data we can go ahead and then go ahead and bring in the name, which is the purpose right here. Okay, so after that we can, all right, so the next thing is to go ahead and bring in the description. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. So let's paste this on the next line, and instead of purpose right here, let's go ahead and say description. So this is going to be description, and we're going to change from data to description, I mean from name to description right there. And the next thing that we'll need is that's going to be the recipient code. So we can just say recipient, and we're going to change this from name to recipient code, just like that. And to really grab onto this the account name and that of the account number, if you take a look at the browser here, you see that data really encloses everything right here. So we were mentioning data before we grab onto any other thing that was within this page right now. But if you want to go out of this array, or you want to go into this array that says details right here, you need to go through the data, then details, before you can get anything that is within this place. So to grab onto this account number, the account name, and then the bank code, even the bank name, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's go back to our development environment. And what we're going to do right now is to go ahead, if we say something like, if we say recipient right now, and the next thing that we're going to grab onto is going to be the data. So this is going to be data, and after data we need to grab onto what is it called, we need to grab onto the details. So this is going to be details before we can really go ahead and get that of the, what is it called, the account name. So the account name is going to be called, this is account name, and of course you need to let it be what they have on this page. So I'm going to just copy this is account name, and I'll go ahead and paste it right here, just like that. And yeah, so this shouldn't be recipient code, this is just recipient. And I'm going to just go ahead and copy this line right now. And let me just copy only the PHP part, paste it right here, and we should go ahead and change this from account name to account number. And yeah, so we are going to take away this, we don't need these two things right here. And yeah, so finally we're going to need what is it called, the bank name. So I'm going to copy this line and paste it down here, and this is going to be bank name. So the bank name is going to, this is going to be details, then we'll go ahead and say bank name, like that. And yeah, so that should be that for now. All right, so let's go ahead and save this and then take a look at that from our browser and see what we have. So this is, all right, so if you take a look at that this page right now, we have quite a couple of things. We have the name, so you see that we have quite a couple of things right here. So we have the purpose of the transfer, which we call transfer fund. We have the description, we have the recipient code, the account name, account number, and even the bank name. We have that in place, but we have issue with the response, which is the message. So we need to go and take a look at that right now. Why are we having message? So it said undefined variable message, and I think I probably know why that error is there. So it's on line 83. If we go back to our development environment and take a look at this line, and you clearly can agree with me that what we should have right here is supposed to be recipient. So we're supposed to have recipient because that is the variable that contains all of the data that we're really working on right now. So this is going to be recipient with an arrow like this, and then before you mention message. So you will save this and we'll refresh our web page. That error should be gone by now. And that's that. So we have that error being solved. And then the next thing that we need right now is to see how is it that we can add something like a form right here. So we're going to have to add a form down here. So to do that, let's go back to our development environment and do that. So let me add a form down here. All right, so let's go ahead and put a form right here. So this is going to be form action is going to be set to be equal to the page that I want to use to process this particular form, which is create transfer.php. So this is going to be the same page. create underscore, not the same page but the next page, create transfer dot php. Okay, and then we're going to set the method. So the method is going to be equal to post, and that is it for that. And we can go ahead and close the form tag right here. So this is going to be form to close the form tag. Then within this form tag right now, we are going to need to create some labels. So the first label that we need now is to create a transfer reason. So I'm going to just say label, and I'm going to just say transfer reason, and this is going to be just that, just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and create the input part. So this is going to be input, and the type of the input that we need for this transfer reason is going to be called text. So I'm going to just say type, and we'll go ahead and set that to text, and we're going to need a name for it. So the name is going to be equal to amount. It's going to be equal to reason. So this is going to be reason, and we could have we could add something like a placeholder. So let's just say something like a place. Let the placeholder be equal to transfer reason. So we're going to just say transfer reason, and that should be it for that line. Or we can make that, we can go ahead and make that required. Okay, so let's just say we'll go ahead and make this required, so that the person must fill in, the user will have to fill in something before they can proceed. Alright, so for the next one that we need to create, which is just for the amount, I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it down here, and I'm going to change this to transfer, amount. This is going to be changed to amount, and the type is going to be number this time around. So this is going to be number, and for the name is going to be called amount. So let's say amount. That's talking about the amount of money that you want to transfer. So we can just say amount to transfer right here. So we can just say amount to transfer, and that can also be left to be required. That is just it for that input. And finally, we're going to need a submit button. So what I'm going to do right now is to copy only this. So if I copy this and paste it on the next line, this is going to be input type. We are going to just say submit, and we need the name, of course. So this can be, we can go ahead and call this transfer to be the name. And then for the placeholder, we're not going to need any placeholder here. Rather, what we are going to need next is just value. That's the text that people are going to see and that they can click on. So we can just say something like transfer, just like that. And if you go ahead and save this page, then let's go ahead and then try that again on our page. If you refresh, we should be able to see the form displayed down here if everything was correct. And yeah, so we have this form right here, but the issue right here is that the styling doesn't really look good. So we need to solve that issue right now. Alright, so we should be able to solve this issue of the CSS from the CSS file. But what this is right now is that if once you add the reason why you want to make a transfer right here, you can go ahead and then put the one that you want to transfer from this place, and once you click on transfer, that's going to take you to the create transfer page. Okay, so that is just what that is. So let's just take a look at the CSS, and if you open the CSS right now, I will scroll down to this part where we have the input type to be set to submit. We can, if we reduce this text, let's go ahead and do that. Let that be something like 1 EM instead of 2 EM. And yeah, you can really play around with it right here to make changes to that. So I'm going to save that, and if I refresh this page, I should see this text to be reduced. Okay. Alright, so if you scroll down, you see that the text reduced, so you can work on it. I'm going to just leave this part right now. But just know with that on the next page, once to fill this form, let's say this is the reason that I want to make a transfer. So enter the amount that I want to transfer, and once you click on transfer, it's going to have to take us to this particular page, which is called the create transfer.php. So that's really where we are going to go ahead and initiate the transfer. So thank you guys for watching, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, you can go ahead and do that now. And if you like this video, just go ahead and hit the like button, and you can share it with your friends, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.